Good afternoon. I'm Rachel Campbell with Show Me Christian County, one of the nonpartisan organizations that makes up the Informed Voter Coalition. Today we are interviewing candidates for Mayor of Ozark. They are David Snyder, Don Currence, and Eddie Campbell. Eddie Campbell was invited to participate but was unable to join us today. Each candidate will be interviewed individually and asked the same questions. They will have 1 minute to introduce themselves and 2 minutes to respond to each question. Our first candidate is David Snyder. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I am glad to be here.
Let's begin by having you introduce yourself and tell us why you decided to run for this office. You have 1 minute.
Well, again, my name's David Snyder. I'm a retired police officer. I served 28 years as a police officer. I also served 4 years with Uncle Sam in the United States Army. I became involved, in the local city council part of this back in 2022. As a police officer, I could not do that because of the conflict of interest, but I wanted to become more involved with city government in Ozark, and that's where I started as an alderman. I currently serve as an alderman, and I want to bring things more. I want to make things better for Ozark. We're on a good path, but I think I can make them better. But in that intro, I will tell you, the most important people are not here today. That's my wife. I've been married, it'll be 36 years, in July, and I have a son who graduated college at the Ozarks, even out of Ozark High School, and he's married to a nurse. Now, he's a firefighter. I have to forgive him, but I'm very proud of him. He's a hero, but without those folks, I am nothing, and that's what I mean.
Okay. Thank you. Now you will have 2 minutes per question. What is your vision for Ozark's future, and what specific steps would you take to move the city in that direction?
Ozark is growing, but I believe Ozark is growing too fast in some ways. What I would like to see is to get our economy thriving, but I want to see some of the construction aspects, the infrastructure. I think that needs to be addressed here. We need to get control of what we have before we start to build on the future. We do currently have, in my opinion, an overwhelming use of apartment complexes. I think we need to go back to family values with single residential rooftops. I think we need to get that under control first. Apartment complexes are great, okay, but I do think that we're being overrun with them, with storage buildings and apartment complexes. I think we need to get that under control. And in order for us to do that, we're going to have to get folks to live in Ozark, not just to stay, but to live. And I think home ownership is going to be a key to that. I do believe that is going to be a necessity to help us thrive. So where I would like to see us go, I would like to see us promote our family values with our community. We have done that already. We're on the right path. We've started to integrate a trail system, the Chadwick Flyer, which is fantastic. That's going to interlock, different aspects of our community here from different areas here. I want to see us grow, but I want to see us grow responsibly. I want people to come to Ozark to live and not just to stay.
Okay. All right, next question. Ozark has experienced significant growth over the past decade. What do you see as the biggest priority in managing that continued growth effectively?
Like I said, the biggest hurdle that we have is maintaining what we have. We cannot go out and build something we don't have if we can't take care of what we already have. We've got to keep our city streets. We've got to take care of the people that made Ozark what it is. I do believe we're running into issues right now. We have some deteriorating infrastructure. We need to go in and we need to rebuild that infrastructure, build onto it before we, reach outside and try to build something that we can't even take care of right now. I see a lot of issues right now with developers that want to come in here and build nothing, like I said, but apartment complexes, and I think that's the wrong way to go. We do need to get businesses in here. The Show Me Christian County has done a real good job. The Chamber has done a real good job promoting what we have. And in order for us to grow, we have to first concentrate on the efforts that we have here at home. I want small businesses to stay here in Ozark. They are what make Ozark what it is. The people are the most important aspect of our community. And I don't want them to move. I don't want them to say, hey, I don't want to get too big right now. I want them to feel comfortable within the city limits of Ozark and the Ozark community as a whole. Right now, I think there is a problem we need to address, and that's the fact that people believe Ozark is getting too big. We have to concentrate on what we have to make it better.
All Right now, the April election for Ozark mayor features the same three candidates as the previous race. What new factors or issues do you think will shape this mayoral election compared to the last one?
In my opinion, I think people have seen, what they elected for. And I am not going to speak ill of Mr. Don Kearns by no manner. I do believe we can do things differently. I do believe leadership, has been questioned a time or two. But in reference to my mayor, he's a good man. I am not going to belittle him. I do not want to see a finger pointing game here. And I will tell you now, the third candidate that's not here today does a lot of finger pointing, and I don't like that. We need to work together. We need to make it the best that we can. What I can bring to the table here is true leadership, where people can look at me and say, I want to follow this guy. This is what I can do for the city of Ozark. I want people to know that they can come to me, and I want people to know that they can trust what I do and what I say, because I don't just hear a problem, I listen to the problem that they have. And it's been pointed out that I have taken special interests of certain groups, and played favoritism to them. I have not, because the special interests that these folks have are special to me, and I'm going to fight for them regardless of what it is. That's what we do, and that's what I will continue to do, is fight for what we have.
All right, next question. In city council meetings, feedback often comes from the most vocal and frustrated residents. How do you plan to engage with a broad range of community members and ensure that all perspectives are considered?
Again, we listen to what they have to say. I don't just want to hear it. I can hear all day long. I can hear a train down the tracks. I can hear an airplane in the sky. But if I truly listen to what's going on with that train, I'll find out what direction it's coming from. If I listen to what's going on in the air with that airplane, I can look up and tell you where it's going and where it's coming from. I need to be able to engage with these folks, our residents. They're the most important thing that we have in Ozark, because they make it. They are the knitting that keeps it together. Community engagement, listening to what they have to say. One thing I would like to do is, when I am elected mayor, and I believe that I will be, every quarter we're going to have a welcome to Ozark, where we have our elected officials, where we have our businesses. We come down to the county seat, which is Ozark. We come to the square. We welcome our new residents and introduce them to what we have. Hear what they have to say, hear what questions they have, and answer those questions. And if other folks have some issues at hand, I want to hear those as well. Come to city council meetings. Get involved. Let me hear what you have to say. Let me listen to what you have to say so I can give you a response. I can't react appropriately if I don't know what the problem is. I understand the frustration that some people have. I honestly do understand that. If they have a question that I can answer, I will. If I can't get that answer right then and there, I will get one for them, and I will call that person back. I've already done that, and I'm very proud of that.
Okay, thank you. Last question. Ozark's growth brings both opportunities and challenges, particularly in housing availability and workforce development. How do you plan to address the city's housing needs to ensure that workers, families, and businesses can thrive?
Again, there are some folks out there that do not agree with my philosophy on multifamily housing. I see the issues that come with multifamily housing. Do we have it in Ozark? Yes, we do. Is there a need for it? Yes, there is. What I am going to propose is a temporary moratorium on multifamily housing until we can address the needs that we already have. I think we have too many. I want to see the rooftops go back in. Now, Ozark is unique in the fact that we are literally divided into three sections, north, central, and south. We have a unique feature in Ozark that hardly any other city in Missouri has. We have a natural resource. We have a river that runs right through it. So I want to be able to attract things there. I want families to be able to come down to that river. I want to see families come down to the park and thrive. I want to see a mom and dad see their kids grow up, so when they become a grandfather and a grandmother, they can say, those are my kids, those are my grandkids. I want to see things happen here. And there are different ways of doing it, but we have the challenges of the housing. I want people to live here in Ozark with us. I want people to shop in Ozark. I don't want them just to stay here and go to work in Springfield or go to work in Stratford or Republic. I want them to be able to depend on what we have in Ozark. That way we can promote our growth from within.
Okay. Well, David Snyder, that concludes our interview. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us.
No, thank you very much for allowing me to be here in your house.
Again, I've been speaking with David Snyder, who is a candidate for Ozark Mayor. We're speaking with candidates running for mayor of Ozark. Joining me now is Don Currents. Thank you very much for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Would you please introduce yourself and tell us why you decided to run for this position? You have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. Well, my name is Don Currents, and I'm the current mayor of Ozark. So April the 6th, we'll be finishing my first term. And this is something where I never dreamed one day I would be mayor. I am the church business administrator for 32 years at my church, the First Baptist in Ozark, and did not realize when I was encouraged to run when our former mayor was being appointed to another position that all my skills I've done for my whole life are the same skills that carries over to be mayor. And therefore, a lot of things happened this past 2 years, and there's things I want to continue that I can get done, and therefore I want to run another term to help finish what we've done. I mean, one thing that happened was we lost 5 directors, city administrator, and 2 aldermen who got reappointed in my first year. And we got great people there. Our city is so blessed with the people who have hired, and I want to continue what we are planning to do in the next years to come.
Thank you. Now you have 2 minutes per
Okay.
question. Question 1. What is your vision for Ozark's future, and what specific steps would you take to move the city in that direction?
Okay. The vision for Ozark. Well, as you know, we've been a growing community. I mean, we are in a wonderful location as 10 miles south of Springfield, 24 miles north of Branson. Now, we are a bedroom community. I mean, every day, 75% of our working population goes north to work in Springfield. So that presents special challenges and all. But with that, people love being in Ozark because of, well, our schools are outstanding, our trail, family farms, the Finley River, the historic River District, the square and all. Of course, the most important thing about the city of Ozark I've learned are the people. I mean, that's what makes Ozark so great. And of course, the key is we have, as we are growing, to be ready for that. I mean, as for, residential development, as for economic development, and preparing for that so we are able to handle the growth as it comes. Because like I said, like Show Me Christian County, who we work with closely, they've told me that of the 16 projects that they're working on currently, 10 of these projects are in Ozark, which is outstanding because people want to come to this city because they've heard about it. I mean, our location on 65, I mean, that's another benefit that we have that we take for granted. Again, I've been here 32 years. I've always loved this city. But I've come to appreciate so much more now as the mayor and seeing what great things our city has. Now, are we perfect? No. But the team that we have now, as for the directors, the city administrator, and all, are ready to lead us to where we need to be going and looking ahead. Because especially our new city administrator, 20 years in Blue Springs, he has a vision to know where we need to be going as for our style of government and what we need to change and just to do what's best for the citizens of Ozark.
Okay. Next question. Ozark has experienced significant growth over the past decade. What do you see as the biggest priority in managing that continued growth effectively?
Well, with growth, you have challenges. And that's one thing happening right now with MoDOT, Highway 65. As I said already, 75% of our working population each day travels north in the morning, and they come back home again. So therefore, that's why they've been widening the roads to help with that. Also, with the growth has happened, like intersection at CC and 22nd Street, that is something that's going to be worked on this year because with the addition of Old World Estate, the apartments and all, lots of traffic there and all. So you have to look at where is the growth taking place. I mean, they thought the growth was going to happen south of Ozark, but no, our growth has been north, as you can tell by the apartments, the housing subdivision. We do have a new subdivision, about 150 homes south of Walmart, that is being worked on right now. But you have to plan. I mean, that's one thing about the sewage. I mean, our public works director, Jeremy Parson, is an outstanding person. He gets so excited about sewage. But the thing is, it's important. That's why we're putting right now a lift station south by the old Fasco building in order to help with the control of the sewage. Because as you bring in new division, I mean, as new development and homes, you got to be able to handle that. And so therefore we are routing things that have been going to the main sewage treatment plant is coming south with what being developed right now for this lift station. It's about a $9 million project. And they're putting in like 23,000 feet of pipes and all to deal with this. So you can't be looking at, well, what's the problem today? Oh no, you got to be looking at the problem was 5 years and things like that. And of course, that's why it's important partnership with the school and all, because what affects us affects them. And with especially like, well, when you add new housing development, because what affects them is not so much apartments, it's single residential homes that cause growth in the school system.
Mm-hmm. Now, the April election for Ozark mayor features the same 3 candidates as the previous race.
Mm-hmm.
What
Great.
new factors or issues do you think will shape this mayoral election compared to the last one?
Well, what's going to be different this time is last time we all threw in newbies. Now, Grant, Eddie and Dave both have been aldermen, and Eddie also has been on planning and zoning. So they had city experience. I mean, I was the newbie. I mean, yes, have I been involved in church life my whole life? Yes. And I've been involved in politics with the Southern Baptist Convention, which at meetings when I helped as one of the officers, we had like 20,000 people there. But as for the city itself, I mean, I was involved in the city as part of chamber through my church. I've been involved with committees for the school board and things. And plus, I'm a Quanian, which is a service organization. I mean, I'm always begging for donations to that, so a lot of business people knew me. But yeah, I had to learn, again, how the city works. Again, I didn't realize how well my mindset as what I've done as a church business administrator carries over to be the mayor of that. And that has just been a great benefit because, I mean, I have a background when it comes to budgeting, to HR, insurance, facilities, utilities, and all that is part of the city life. Not on a smaller scale, but it's still the same concept. Of course, the most important thing as mayor is your people skill. I mean, whether you're in a church or whether you're at the city, you got to work with people and how to work with people and how to listen to them. And also, to be, like I said, I don't have agenda. That's one thing when people ask me to run for mayor, I said, look, I'm not political. I don't have agenda. And I said, we know. But we know you love this city. We know your integrity, and you'll do what's best. And that is right. I mean, when a concern comes up, you got to listen to both sides. You can't preform. You got to say, okay, what's going on? Because when someone talks to me, I got to talk to the directors and try to get the backstory. Because there's always a backstory, what's going on, and they make what is the best decision for the citizens of Ozark.
Okay. In city council meetings, feedback often comes from the most vocal and frustrated residents.
Right.
How do you plan to engage with a broad range of community members and ensure all perspectives are considered?
Well, as you said, normally when people come, I always go to planning and zoning meetings because everything at planning and zoning they meet once a month comes to us a month later. And that way I can kind of see what are the concerns, what's going on, because usually that's where it begins. And I just like, hear what's taking place and talk to them and say, okay, what is the concerns? We have neighborhood meetings now on new developments to help them meet the developer and try to get their questions answered. Because a lot of times they don't know. Or unfortunately, they're hearing the wrong message. And therefore, to get the truth, this is what's taking place. No, we're not doing this. We are doing this to understand. But again, that's why, we have, again, on first reading of bills, you have the public session where people who are for the bill or speak against the bill. And they have the opportunity to speak. We do not limit it saying, okay, only 5 people can speak. Now, we do limit time, but as for if there's 20 people there from a neighborhood that wants to speak, they're going to have the opportunity to do that. Because that's the right thing to do to allow them to hear that. And plus, also, I get hit at my mayor meeting. I have that the second Saturday each month. I get concerns. I call them concerns. Some people said they're complaints, but I call them concerns. I'll listen to them, see what's going on. And I'll do backstory. I'll see what's going on. I'll research it. Then I'll call them back. I remember I've had several people surprised when I'll call them back and, hey, this is what I found out. And they went, you called me back? I said, yes. I said I would. What's going on? We're now taking recap from my mayor meetings when I find out answers and things and putting that in the newsletter now, too, of the city. Say, hey, this is what questions people are asking, and these are the answers, because maybe other people may have the same question. The thing is, you got to be open and listen to them and see what the concerns are, because it's important to them.
Okay, thank you. Last question. Ozark's growth brings both opportunities and challenges, particularly in housing availability and workforce development. How do you plan to address the city's housing needs to ensure that workers, families, and businesses can thrive?
Okay. Well, it takes a balance. I mean, again, we have lots. We are like 60-40 or 66-30% as for residential housing versus apartments. But the thing is, you need both because certain people, when they're starting out, they can't afford the down payment and things like that. So that's why, I mean, I'm excited. We have Finley Crossing, which is down. It's midtown. That's going to be about 113 homes that are more starter homes. Unfortunately, in Ozark, a starter home is like $240,000. That's a starter home, but we're higher than the state average. But I'm thankful for that. There's some new development coming in, which I can't talk about, which hopefully will address this in a very large way as for apartments, starter homes, senior 55, and other type homes like that. But again, people saying, well, make it happen. Well, you have to have developers who wish to come in, and we are very blessed, which we have lots of land still. I mean, we're not, as Ozark, outgrown our city limits and things like that. And so you have to make it available for, hopefully they'll come and want to develop and listen to them. So it's basically, what we try to do. Again, that's always an ongoing challenge, to have the balance between, what people want to keep us as a, small town, which we're not. We're 23,000 people. But also we want to keep that feeling, though. That's why the historic square that we have, the things that go on down there at Christmas time, the Oktoberfest, and then the things at the park, the duck race and all, are so important because it helps gives that feeling of the small town who we are as Ozark, the Christmas parade. So we still have the amenities of that feeling, but we are not, like I said, we're not Ozark of 10 years ago.
Well, Don Currents, that concludes our interview. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to do this. Appreciate it.
Again, I've been speaking with Don Currents, who is a candidate for Ozark Mayor. This concludes our interviews with candidates for Ozark Mayor. I'm Rachel Campbell with Show Me Christian County. Thank you for joining us.
The election is Tuesday, April the 8th. We hope you continue to research the candidates to see how their values and positions align with yours. On April 8th, exercise your right to vote. If you have questions about where or how to vote or the status of your voter registration, please contact your county clerk's office. This program was pre-recorded and will be posted on Coalition websites and social media platforms after today's broadcast. No part of the audio or video may be reproduced or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic or mechanical, without the written permission of the copyright holder, League of Women Voters of Southwest Missouri.